Hey y'all, welcome to the Radiance Effect podcast where the goal is to help you shine from the inside out. I'm your host, Brittany Janelle. Let's get into it. Okay, one thing I want to say is I'm super excited to welcome my first guest on the Radiance Effect podcast, and her name is Miss Alexis Lowe. Hey Alexis.
Hey, hello.
First and foremost, I just wanted to kind of do a little recap as far as how we got here. I know you've been booked and busy, so I'm very appreciative of you making time for me, girl.
Yes, we got to make time for each other. We have to. It's
We
important.
worked it out. That's right. That's right. But as far as our relationship goes, I think we met back in 2012, 2013,
Mhm.
during my first year as a coach.
Mhm.
And honestly, what even blows my mind is I moved to Houston in 2023, and
Mhm.
Alexis and I have run into each other 3 or 4 times since I've been here.
Yeah.
Twice with
Mhm.
my parents who live in Michigan. So if that
Mhm.
tells you anything, Houston is humongous. So I remember
Mhm.
writing her earlier this year, and I was like, I feel like there's some type of pull toward us, and let's just start reconnecting. So when I made the announcement about my podcast, what she probably doesn't know is that she was one of the first guests I had written down. Now you know.
Oh, I feel so special.
Yes, feel special, girl. But just before we go ahead and get started, again, I just want to say thank you for making the time for me. And I know this is going to be something that you knock out of the park. So we're just going to go ahead and get into it.
Of course, of course.
So now that I know you, but I know the audience doesn't know you. So when we
Mhm.
think about who Alexis is, can you give the audience a little bit of a blurb as far as who you are and what you do?
Yes. So I am Alexis. I am a mother of a 10-year-old. I can't believe I've had a kid for a decade. It's crazy. I am currently working as a criminal prosecutor here in Fort Bend County. I love people. I love helping people. I feel like I'm a girl's girl, if you will. I'm very open about being myself, and I love to encourage other people to be true to themselves and just voice their opinions about how they feel about things, because the right people will be attracted to you based off of who you are, as long as you're showing who that is. So I try to be that person all the time. I like to be 100% myself, and I wear my heart on my sleeve. So I think that's a good description of me.
Yeah, I would say so. And one
Hmm.
thing that I also want to point out is I remember meeting you in high school. You were
Hmm.
always just someone that had such a light about you.
Hmm.
Like, you're always very smart, and that's something that I
Yeah.
can, pick up very quickly, but you just always were such a sweet person, and that's
Hmm.
something that's continued to remain as you've grown. So,
Thank you. Yes.
absolutely. And you brought up a good point, girl, because I did not even say the name of the title for today.
Mhm.
So, the
Yeah.
title for today's episode and the theme is called Against All Odds Law, Life, and Motherhood.
That's
And,
perfect.
girl, and when you say you have a 10-year-old, I was like, okay,
I
not you making
know.
me feel old because how do you have a 10-year-old?
It's crazy. It's crazy. Just even when it comes out of my mouth, I'm like, wow,
Oh my
crazy.
gosh. Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So, let's
Yes.
go ahead and get into some of these questions, girl.
Yes.
So, I know I mentioned that I met you in high school, but
Hmm.
I really want to take a moment to step back and think about who Alexis was in high school.
Hmm.
So, who were you?
Well, so, like I said, I do have a 10-year-old. And so when we met, I think, I just was kind of a little bit shy. And where you were coaching at, I didn't actually attend that school, but my high school did sports with that school. So I was kind of one of those outsiders that was on the inside. And I was very to myself. I was one of those people that they kind of classify as a nerd, if you will, because I was always focused on school, and I was a goody two shoes, and I followed all the rules, except I ended up being one of those people that was pregnant in high school. And so that made, me kind of like an eyesore to people. And they're like, oh, I can't believe this girl that's just so smart and so good and follows all the rules. Like, how could she be the pregnant girl? And so, that kind of characterized a lot of my high school career, if you will, towards the end, because I was pregnant in my junior year. I had him the summer before my senior year. So it was kind of like all eyes on me. And not in the way a lot of people would really like it to be. And so it was really a journey of learning myself in high school and learning how I can, fight fight the odds of other people and the opinions of other people, and just like focus on the blessings that God had for me. And at the time, it didn't feel like a blessing. It felt like, kind of like a punishment of doing things that I wasn't supposed to be doing. But over the journey of my pregnancy, I realized like God has given me a journey that a lot of people cannot be on. A lot of people won't succeed on. And so the saying, God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers, like that is
And
that is my life. That is my life. So I've come from a family that is very close knit, and we are very strong believers in God. And so it was just all of these things outside of my life that influenced the type of person that I am. And so it was really a battle. It was really a test of my faith. And I think it was just a way of God saying, I need you to find a way to be closer to me. So yeah.
girl. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. There's so many things that you said there. I'm like, let me
Hmm.
just like dissect that and try to
Hmm.
remember everything to ask the right question.
Yeah.
But junior year, you got pregnant.
Hmm.
What were some of the thoughts that ran through your mind? Like, I know that you walked through, like, hey, you grew up a person of faith and you were initially
Hmm.
the goody two shoes, but like,
Hmm.
when you first found out, take me to that initial moment.
Well, it was so crazy. It was actually right after a cheer practice. And so I went with a couple of my friends from cheer practice to their house. And I was like, okay. Because I really feel like I was in denial for a long time because, your body tells you things. And so when I was like in the process of taking the pregnancy test, I'm like, okay, like I can't believe this is what's happening right now. Like I was scared. I was scared to tell my parents. I was scared to tell the father. Like my initial emotion was fear. Like I was fearful. Like I was scared because I just am like, I don't know what I'm about to do. Like I don't know, what am I gonna do. And so it was that for a long time. And then honestly, after I found out, and I finally, I told the dad right away. I told my mom the next day, and she kind of knew already because moms know things.
They do.
When I told her, I had to have a sit down with my parents, like basically the next day of after finding out, and they're like, "What are you gonna do?" And then my grandparents came over, and I had to tell them, and I just felt shame, and especially because everybody seemed so disappointed in me, and they said that they were disappointed, and it was just an emotional roller coaster for me. And after some time, because I hid my pregnancy for as long as I could, but I used to be this big, so it
Yeah.
wasn't, I couldn't hide it that long. So it was kind of right around the 3 month mark that I kind of had to tell everybody. Um, and at that point, I kind of was just like, this is what my life is. This is who I am. This is what I'm doing. And it was more of like I'm accepting it, and I'm accepting whatever comes with it. And of course, a lot of people have questions and they want to know, all these things. But I was very private, and I didn't really want like. I felt like this was a time for me to find out who really cared about me and who really wanted to be there for me. And so it was just a growing time. And even from being fearful and shameful and disappointed in myself, I ended up being grateful that I was blessed to carry such an amazing child, just to have that opportunity to birth a child, because some people don't even get that. And so I just was more accepting of where I was and what part of the journey was there for me. And eventually it became joy, and my parents love him so much. My grandparents, like he's so spoiled. So all the disappointment, all the bad, all those
Yeah.
things, they went out the window before he was even here because everybody was just so excited to meet him. And so I'm very grateful that I have such an amazing family that was there for me, because sometimes you're in those situations and your family is just like, I'm not going to be there for you. And I'm blessed that my family was there for me and they continue to be there for me now. So
It's
yeah.
such a blessing. It truly
Mhm.
is because when I think about the times I experienced my toughest battles, having my
Mhm.
family there and
Yes.
God, that's what really
Yes.
helped me.
Of course.
And there was something else that you mentioned. You said the disappointment and the
Mhm.
experience of feeling shameful, right?
Mhm.
So I went through a divorce a few years ago, and
Mhm.
that's kind of how I ended up getting to Texas. But
Mhm.
I remember how I felt. And growing up as a PK, there was just a lot of things I felt because I would hear these different things like, don't get
Mhm.
divorced, don't do this, don't do that. So
Mhm.
even hearing what you mentioned about, growing up with your faith and, getting pregnant early and feeling that shame, how did you maneuver throughout those feelings?
Um, well, even to, so I'm not like a PK, but my dad is, he has been a minister for a long time and he has been preaching. And so I had to really just like sit in it, and like even the church that I was going to, like they were accepting of it. And I had a lot of support. I had a lot of people praying for me. I had a lot of sit downs where I just kind of had to explain what was going on. And that was just kind of me facing the reality of where I was at. And so I think the only way that I could get through it was to get through it. Like
Yeah.
I have to talk it out. I have to stand firm in the decision that I've made, and deal with whatever comes with making that decision. And so it was a lot of praying. It was a lot of crying. I am a crybaby. I will be to the end of me. I find no problem with crying, because it just helps you release how you feel about things. And so there were a lot of tearful nights. There was a lot of tearful conversations that I had, but I had a lot of praying. Like I did a lot of praying. I did a lot of just sitting with me and God and just trying to understand what he had for me and why is this part of my journey. And so it was just really more of like accepting that this is where I am, this is the life that God wants for me, and trying to find the joy in accepting where I was at, if that makes sense.
Uh, Yeah, you just said a lot and it really
Mhm.
landed with me. And one of the things
Mhm.
that really hit me is when you said that you had to sit in it. Because I feel like when someone goes through something difficult, it's hard for them to sit in their emotions and feelings. So it could become
Mhm.
so easy to just mask it and pretend like everything's good
Mhm.
when it's not,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So when you say you're a crier, girl, I am a big crybaby too. You know what I mean? Like,
You
I
gotta
don't
do
always
it.
let other people see it, but it's going to
Yes.
happen.
Yes.
So I want to know, like, once you sat in it and once you started going through that process and you did all the praying and the self work, what are some of the things that you learned about yourself?
I learned that I am a lot stronger than I thought. Um, and sometimes people have strength as an armor to hide how they really feel about things, but I really felt like I am strong. Like I am a firm believer in myself and in who I am. And so I learned that I can handle a lot of things. Like people, even now, they're like, "You're such a great multitasker." Well, I had to be. Like I had a baby and I had to work and I had school. And at the time, the school that I went to in Michigan was one of the top schools. So it's not like I can just cut back on my work, and I have to actually work. I need to make money because I have a kid that I have to support now. And so I've always had a lot going on all at the same time because I have to.
Yeah.
And it's not really like I don't have the choice of not being able to stand on my own and be strong because that's what I had to do. And so it's just like a part of who I am now. And I don't think it's a downfall to be strong, but I also wanted to recognize in myself that it's okay to need help. It's okay to lean on those that are there for you. And that's still something that I'm working on even to this day. But I've recognized that you can't do it all on your own. Like there's a lot of things that you do have to rely on yourself for, but you also have to be open to letting people help you, and letting people help you that actually want to be there for you, not just say that they're going to do it, you know? And that was a lot of what I learned when I had a baby. People are going to say they want to be there for you all day long, but people that want to be there for you, they'll just be there. They're not going to say it. They'll just be there, you know? And so it was really a lot of learning who was really there for me and who really just wanted to be there so that they could say that they were there in the end. And so it was really a learning process of everything around me and myself. So I'm very grateful. I am. It's just bringing me down memory lane because I haven't even really sat and thought about these things for a while because I'm just so used to just going and doing it. But I am really, really, really blessed and grateful for my village. Like, they're amazing. So,
Well,
yeah.
I'm gonna just say I have some tissue over here, so girl, if you feel the need to
Yes,
cry, you already said
I
you're a
know.
crier. So do what you gotta do. No
Right.
judgment here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. It really is. Like, I could not do what I'm doing without my village. Like, they are the best. They really
Love
are.
that. I love that. There was something that you said about being strong
Hmm.
and also working through or working on try to lean on those around you.
Yeah.
And that's something I really resonate with because I'm someone who's so much an optimist. So I used
Hmm.
to personally kind of feel like a burden if I ever started talking to people about what I was going through. And
Yeah.
because I was always the strong person, the strong friend, it was like I have a hard time asking people for help. So, I know you said you're working through that, but like, what shifted in you that you're like, okay, I'm gonna get past this and I'm gonna actually lean on my village?
Well, I am also one of those people. Like, I wouldn't say I'm an optimist. I mean, I am optimistic about a lot of things, but I think also, like, even now, I will ask for help, but a lot of times it'll be like I'll try so much on my own before I ask for help, you know? And there is this shift that I'm trying to make. And even like, so when I first had Zayden, like, you can't do a lot of things when you first have a baby. Like, you can't, like, you're sore, and you know your body is like, okay girl, we need to reassess. We need to make sure that you can do things that you want to do. And so I remember, it's so funny. I remember one of these nights, my son was up and he wasn't crying. He wasn't, colicky. He didn't have any issues, but he just would not go to sleep. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning and I have school the next day and I am
Ooh,
exhausted. Like, I am
yes.
exhausted. And I just remember bawling my eyes out. Like, I just was crying because I'm like, please go to sleep. Like, please, like, I need to sleep. And my mom came and she was like, I'll take him so I can get some sleep. And just even that, like, I could have just asked her, but instead I'm like, let me just try to, stay awake with him. But you can't. I need some sleep. I got to go to school the next day. I need to rest. And so my mom stepped in, and I remember she even used to be on Facebook and was like, this is me and Zayden's 3 a.m. Chronicles. And I'm like, y'all party it up, and I need rest.
Have fun.
So just like, just recognizing that, you know what, I have people that want to help me, so let me ask them. Like, that is something that I'm still working on. Like, all you have to do is ask, and you might actually get more than you're asking for. And so that's where I'm still kind of processing, because now I'm in a place where I have like my full-time career. My son is living with me full time, and I'm just doing it all on my own. And so I'm really, really working on, like, you know what? Yes, you are doing it on your own, but you also have people you can call on. So call on them, ask them. Like, it's okay. And you are still doing it on your own. Even if you're asking for help, you're still doing it on your own. I'm just trying to accept that.
Okay, girl, that was such a great answer, and you just helped me to like transition to my next little question. So that was
Okay.
perfect.
Okay.
But you're a criminal prosecutor now, is that
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay. So take us through that journey. Is that
Mhm.
something that you always wanted to do growing up, is becoming an
Mhm.
attorney? And if so, like what was it about the field that interested you?
So I've known since I was in eighth grade that I wanted to be a lawyer. Now, I didn't really know what kind of law I wanted to practice for a long time, but I've known that is the journey that I wanted to go on since eighth grade. So this was before Zayden and all that stuff. Like, and one of the things that sparked me to want to get into law was Trayvon Martin. And so when all of that was happening, I felt very passionate about stepping in for people that can't really speak for themselves. So fast forward to high school, right before I moved, I had Zayden, and so I've always wanted to go to an HBCU. But when I had Zayden, I kind of stifled myself, and I was like, well, maybe I should stay in Michigan. I don't think I should really leave. I have so much support here. And then my mom was the nurse for the HBCU college tour, and they went and visited Texas Southern, and she was like, I think this would be a perfect school for you. Like, I think it'd be a perfect fit. And mind you, at the time, I had already got accepted to Grand Valley in Michigan. So I was like, okay, whatever. I'll just apply, see what happens, whatever. So I ended up applying. I got accepted, and they accepted me into their honors college. So they offered me more money than Grand Valley was offering me, and they were offering me to do in-state tuition instead of out-state tuition. So I'm like,
That's God.
okay. I said, well, I guess I'm going to Texas. So I majored in political science, and then I minored in English. And all that time, I was thinking, like, I might get into public policy law. I might do more of the politics side of law than like practicing law. And then, at the end of my at the end of my undergrad career, I ended up going to South Texas, where I graduated, law school. And it wasn't until like my last year in law school that I decided that I wanted to do criminal law. And so, because when I first got there and I took the criminal law class, I was like, I don't really like this. I don't really think this is a good fit for me. Like, I always have loved crime TV and crime dramas. So I was thinking like, oh, it might be like that. But then when I actually learned criminal law, I was like, okay, I don't think this is really a good fit for me. But what changed that for me was when I took my criminal procedure class, which basically is just telling you like how we interpret the Constitution and how do we get our constitutional rights and what things are police supposed to be doing and what things are the prosecutors supposed to be doing when they're handling cases and things like that. And I fell in love with that, and I was like, I love this. Like, I think this is what I want to do. And so I ended up, I actually interviewed for an internship where I'm working now during the time I was studying for the bar. And they were like, oh, are you interviewing for an internship or for a full-time job? And I was like, well, I actually am looking for a full-time job if, y'all have that position available.
She
And
mentioned it.
I did. Now that you mention it, actually, yes. So they took me to the next process of interviewing. And then, I went to the next step and I got all of that lined up and they offered me a job and I started literally the weekend after I took the bar. I started the next week at my new job. And so it was kind of just like, here you go. Like, God kind of just placed it in my lap because it wasn't really something that I thought I was going to be doing. And honestly, it's been a learning journey while I've been there, but it feels like such a perfect fit for me that I think, God kind of just knew, like, I think this is something that will really work for you. And it has so far. Like, it's been great. And a lot of people, they're like, I can't believe you're working, because a lot of people, when they hear that I'm a prosecutor, they're like, oh, you're locking people up and you're putting people in jail, and but the thing is, prosecutors have a lot of discretion and they have a lot of power, and I think that we need more people that look like us on that side to really assess what's going on, because I take my job very seriously. I don't take it lightly. A criminal record can stick with people forever. And so I want to make sure that I'm handling cases with care because their lives are at stake. The future projection of their lives is at stake. And so I take it very seriously. I do not take it lightly. And I am proud to work there and look like I look. Like, I don't look like the typical, you know, attorney that works for the
Stereotype.
state. Yeah, exactly. I have tattoos and I have locks, and I'm a woman, and I'm a woman of color. So I take pride in being different and not sticking to the mold, because
Yeah.
that gives me life experience that a lot of people don't have. And so I can take other things into account when I'm assessing cases. And so I think just the journey of how I got there is just, unique, because even this like 3-step process that I went to is not how they usually do things there. And so I'm just glad to bring a different, unique perspective, because that way I can assess things in a different light than they usually are. And maybe I can, change somebody's life. And I love being able to do that.
That's so, first off, when I was visiting, because I wanted to move to Texas for quite some time, and
Hmm.
I first applied to Texas Southern too. So when I heard
Hmm.
that, I said, girl, I knew we connected
Yes.
for some reason. Even though I
Yes.
ended up staying in Michigan, but I just had to
Uh-huh.
say that.
Hmm.
And also with you being an attorney, thank you so
Hmm.
much for even explaining to everybody about
Yeah.
like what you do and the differences, because my friend, shout out to you, Britt, she's an attorney as well, but
Hmm.
before conversations I've had with her, I would just be so like mind blown because I didn't know all the ins and outs as far
Hmm.
as what you do. And I
Hmm.
think that's like the misconception that people will have, is that kind of like what you said, like, oh, they're just locking
Right.
people up.
Right.
So
Yeah.
interesting. So even going back to what you were doing, going to school, it sounds like your class load was really, really heavy. How did you find balance, and how were you able to juggle? And to throw one other thing in there, juggling in a new state away from your family.
It was really hard. It was really hard. Like, when I first moved down here, so my freshman year at Texas Southern, like, I stayed on campus, and so I had to leave my baby, and so that was already really hard for me because he was only one, and so he was so young, and I'm like, I'm gonna miss out on so many things, and he's gonna forget about me, and I just was really sad. And then, I started school, and I kind of, made some friends, and I was just living my college life. And so when I came home for winter break, my mom was like, "Oh, so how do you like it?" I was like, "Oh, I love it. It's so amazing." And she was like, "Yeah, you're not moving back here, are you?" And I was like, "No."
It's a wrap.
I was like, "No, I don't think so." But I was homesick a lot. Like, I felt like I was missing out on a lot of things, like not being able to be there for Christmas sometimes, or not being there for Thanksgiving, or not being able to just come to my parents' house and hang out a little bit if I wanted to. Like, I was really homesick for a long time. And then my sophomore year, I had ended up getting a off-campus apartment, and me and my son's father were together at the time, so we were all living together. And then that ended up not working out how I wanted it to, and so they ended up moving back to Michigan, and so it was just me by myself again, and I was really sad, and it was a lot. It was a lot to process, and so he has been not living with me since then, since basically my junior year of undergrad, and so it's been really tough. But I love that his dad is amazing, and he stepped up and took care of him and did all of that. My family was there as well, so it made me feel even more comfortable because I know that he could lean on them and I could ask them for help with him. But I was sad. Like, it's been challenging without him here, and so he would live here for the summer sometimes. But just being so far away and missing out on so many things, like, celebrations of my grandparents, or I wasn't living there and I didn't get to attend my great grandfather's funeral. Like, it's just like moments like that I missed, and it was really hard for me. And even now, like, sometimes I still get really sad because I miss out on things like that. And so I just, I have a lot going on. I'm always really busy, and I have great friends here. And so, I just kind of used to just distract myself with that, and just kind of spend time with my friends who have become my family here. But missing out on family moments like that and just not being able to be there, and of course I'm a phone call away, but it's not the same as actually being there. It was really tough. But I wouldn't have been able to do it without, the village that I have made for myself here in Houston. And so, like, I have placed some roots here, and I have a lot of people that I can depend on here. But, it's never the same. It's never the same. But I'm grateful that I have something to fall back on while I'm here in Texas. So, yeah.
What I think people don't realize is when you go through something like a transition across the country, the
Hmm.
isolation that you feel, not only just from like the distance, but the isolation internally, because you have to
Hmm.
start learning so much about like, okay, how do I find the nearest mall? How do I go here?
Right.
What places are
Right.
dangerous? You know what I mean? And
Hmm. Hmm.
even having to really sit and spend time with yourself when you would
Hmm.
normally just like hit up your home girl and you just pull up or whatever it may be, or go spend time with your mom, like you said, right? Like it's so much that you go through that
Hmm.
helps you to eventually start learning more of who you are. So I can
Hmm.
only imagine like who you were your junior year and having to go through those transitions
Hmm.
to who you are now.
Yeah. Well, and I will say, like, I did feel like I kind of was dealing with there's like seasonal depression. And so, like, it would be around the holidays, like Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, like all around that time. There was even one year I was working. I used to work at this restaurant, and while I was working there, and I wasn't able to get time off for Christmas. So I had to stay here by myself for Christmas. And so, like, you know, everybody's with their family. I have my friends, but I don't really want to impede. It's Christmas. Y'all should spend time with your
Right.
families. And so I was just really, really sad. Like I was really sad because I was just by myself. Like I didn't even enjoy the holiday. Like I just was at home. I didn't do anything, and it was just a really hard time for me. And I feel like there were multiple years that I just felt sad because I wasn't with my family. Like I don't even know the last time I went home for Thanksgiving. Like it's been probably since I've lived here, I haven't been home for Thanksgiving, and that's been over almost 10 years. And so I just, miss being Thanksgiving is a time for fun and family and just being thankful and grateful for your family. And so I just felt really sad because I wasn't able to celebrate that in person with my family. And so I just try to, you know, be with those who are there for me and that can be there for me. And so there have been a few years, like me and one of my best friends, she also has a son, close to my son's age, and like we've done Thanksgiving together, and I'm so grateful for her. Like it was so amazing. Like we literally came together and made our own Thanksgiving dinner and invited
Yeah.
friends and everything, and so it was beautiful, and and I'm so grateful for her because we have become each other's family and we can support each other and be there for each other, but also open our doors and open our arms to other people being with us, because there's a lot of people that move from other states and don't have a lot of close family but are friends with a lot of people in this city. And so we try to come together and just be there for each other. And so I'm really grateful that I was able to do that with her.
Yeah, it's about that community. It is.
Yes,
It is
yes.
not, and I'm so happy to hear that you have that because I found a
Hmm.
community here too,
Yeah.
and it made the lonely times less lonely. So I'm very
Yes.
happy to hear that. Just with you mentioning that you always knew, or at least since eighth grade, that you wanted to become an attorney,
Hmm.
and some of the things that you went through as far as like seasonal depression and the isolation and having your son back in Michigan, did you ever feel like, why am I doing this? Or maybe I should give up on these goals and dreams?
A lot. I felt it a lot. I just kind of was like, who told me that I'm strong enough to do this? Like, who said that this was a good idea? Like, do you really think you can stick it out and do all these things? But then, of course, what fueled me and reminded me is like, you're doing this for your son. Like, you're doing this to show him that it can be done. You're doing this so you can show him that the goals that you want to reach, they are attainable, and you can strive higher than even what you think. And he always has pushed me. He's always been my motivation. He has always pushed me to just continue being who I wanted to be, because just because, my journey isn't the stereotypical journey, or it's not the one that a lot of people would choose, doesn't mean that I have to quit. He just fueled me to become better and better, because I want him to say one day, like, "Mommy, I'm proud of you." And I really hope that he feels that way now, because there's a lot of things that I've gone through and a lot of sacrifices that I've made for him. And I think, like, he is proud of me now. And I'm just so blessed that my son is just so amazing. Like, he is such a mama's boy. And he really, like, loves me and supports me in so many ways without even saying any words. Like, he'll literally just come and give me a hug and say, "Mommy, I love you." And so it just makes me feel like I've accomplished so many things, and I am making him proud. So I'm grateful that he is just the amazing kid that he is. um, but he has always been my motivation. He has always, like, anytime I felt sad, or that I wanted to quit, or that I just felt like I was just overwhelmed, I would just say, "You know what? You can do this, because you have somebody that is looking up to you and saying you can do this." And so I just keep pushing. I just keep doing it, and I just keep thriving and striving for more, because I know that I am making him proud. So,
Girl, why you do
the
this?
tears. I know. I
Why you do
know.
this? Oh my gosh! Like, I could hear so much of the sincerity in your voice, and I,
Yeah.
I didn't even know there were some tears coming down, because I was
Yeah.
about to cry over here, and I was like, but I just want to take a moment and let you know that I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Because I feel like when you're someone who is always working, or when you've gone through difficulties that you've had to overcome, it can be hard to take a moment to realize how much you've accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
And what you just said, I hope you were able to receive that for yourself and remember your why, even if you experience another difficulty in life, to say, "This is challenging, but I'm going to get through it, and this is why I'm going to do it." Okay? So,
Yes.
you
Yes.
got
Thank
this.
you.
You
Thank
got
you. I
this.
appreciate it. And honestly, that, it just reminds me, like, there are so many people that I don't even know that I'm inspiring, or that, like, are proud of me. And so it's just so nice and refreshing to just kind of hear that sometimes, because I don't usually stop and think about it. Like, I don't take a moment and be like, "Wow, like, think about where you were 5 years ago. Think about where you were 2 years ago, 1 year ago." Like, there's so many things that I have put on my list to accomplish, that I have accomplished. And it's not until someone's like, "I remember where you were doing this, and I remember, when you just started." And so I appreciate it. I'm very grateful. I'm just glad that there's so many people that are proud of me, and that are, praying for my journey more than I could even imagine, more than I could even count. And so I'm very, very grateful, and I appreciate it.
Absolutely. It was a few months ago, my birthday is June 24th, that
Hmm.
I posted and made the announcement about my podcast. And
Hmm.
someone in my old church, they commented on it, and they were like, "I'm so proud of you for not allowing your situation to define your outcome."
Yeah.
And then I lost it on my birthday, talking
Right.
about ugly cry. I got all these other, like, wonderful birthday messages, but
Yeah.
it made me sit here and be like, "Girl, you went through
Yes.
some things." Like,
Yes.
I remember how my mindset was, and not just about my situation, but how I thought about myself. And then
Hmm.
to move past that, and like you said, to have people see you as a role model, you're like, "Me?"
Me? Right.
Like, if only you knew. So I can completely relate to that.
Yeah.
But another question I have for you, looking back, what would you tell your younger self?
Oh. Oh. Um, I probably would tell my younger self that it'll all be worth it. Um, all the hard work pays off. All the tears and prayers and, you know, stressful times will pay off. And you are that girl. Like, I tell myself that all the time. Like, you are that girl. Like, yes. Because sometimes it's so easy to forget. But, you know, even, my dad used to tell me all the time, he's like, you are the rose that grew from concrete. And so I would tell my younger self that. Like, in all of the turmoil and all of the, all of the thorns that come your way, you continue to grow, you continue to blossom, and you continue to shine, and no one will ever be able to dim your light because it is a gift to yourself from God, and no one can take it away. So continue to shine it, continue to stand in it, and just continue to bless others with you being yourself. Yeah.
That was like a mic drop moment too, like, phew.
Right?
Um, but you're the rose that grew from concrete. I'm gonna have to like post that on the podcast page and then put like quote from Alexis's dad because that was bars, and I'm gonna have to recycle that. Just
Yes.
letting you know.
I love it. Yeah.
Oh
No,
my
really.
gosh. But it's so much about like not just doing it for you, but what you mentioned too, like how you can help somebody else.
Hmm.
And even what you mentioned about being a person of color earlier. And, there's not many people who look like you in the representation within
Right.
your field. So
Yeah.
I'm so happy to hear that.
Hmm.
Um, and another question that I have for you, I know you kind of talked about your tribe all throughout, but I'm kind
Hmm.
of starting something here. We just don't go with it.
Okay.
It's called a flower power moment
Okay.
because when I mention I'm proud of you, I feel like there's so many times that people have the opportunity to give someone their flowers in
Hmm.
real life, but they
Yeah.
don't take the opportunity. So I
Hmm.
just wanted to allow you to have this platform to give your tribe the flowers that they deserve, or whoever that may be, of whatever you want to say to them.
Um. Oh man, I'm probably gonna cry.
Hey,
Uh,
girl.
to my mom, thank you for showing me what it means to be a strong, independent Black woman. Uh, Thank you for showing me what it means to be a woman of God and a woman of her family. You are an amazing protector. You show me every day what it means to be a Black mother. And so for that, I am so grateful and I thank you. To my dad, thank you for stepping in and taking over that role because you didn't have to. Uh, Thank you for always being a shoulder that I can cry on and someone that I can call when I need a prayer. I know that you are there whenever I need a call. And thank you for just being open to being in the background, and just being there whenever I need, because I know that you are there and I'm so grateful. And thank you for just, planting the seed that I am the rose that grew from concrete. Thank you to Zayden's dad for being so supportive of where I am and how I got here. I wouldn't have been able to do it without you being an amazing father to our son, and I am in, immensely grateful for that. Um, Thank you to my friends. Uh, I have a close knit family that I have built here, and I'm so grateful for y'all because I know I can call on you in the time of need, and I know that you are my family away from my family. So thank you so much for that. Um, Thank you to my grandparents. I'm so blessed that I still have y'all in my life. I'm so blessed that, I can call y'all. And even when I'm not doing my best at calling, I know that y'all are still there praying for me and thinking of me and the little gifts that you send my way. I'm just so grateful for that. Um, yeah, there's so many more people I could thank, but those are the people that I think of off the top of my head for sure. Like, that is my immediate village.
Well, girl, I can tell you, even just hearing you say that, again, my
Yeah.
eyes are over here watering up. And I'm so glad that you had that community.
Yeah.
And again, just to give you your flowers, like you kept pushing, girl. You kept pushing, and I just know that God has so many wonderful things in store for you. So you've been able to push before, just keep pushing. And even as we
Yes.
go toward closing out this episode, like for anyone that's listening, the title of the show is Against All Odds, Law, Life, and Motherhood. But just know that whatever you are up against, that you can make it through. You can push through to become something so amazing and different than what you thought you had the capacity to become.
Right.
So just know that you're powerful. And Alexis, I want you to know that you're beautiful,
Thank
and
you.
there's more to come.
Of course. Yes. Thank you so much. I really appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Absolutely. All right, y'all. So that is it for the Radiance Effect podcast. And this was our first episode with our first guest, Miss Alexis Lowe. I'm so grateful for the opportunity. I pray that this episode has blessed, touched, and moved you in some way. And take the opportunity to share this with someone. Be sure to like and subscribe. This episode will be aired on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. And it'll be airing every other Monday at 7 p.m. And that's it. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.